Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Dynabraid, the first choice for abrasive power tools today and tomorrow. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Colby Valve, the only valve stem you install from the outside.
One engine and two wheels and a ton of fun. Pop the clutch and you're off. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. Now, I said pop the clutch and you're off. That's a perfect scenario. Why? Because we're talking about the wet clutch system. You can see it right here. It's actually like an automotive clutch. What you have is you got some steels and some fibers in between here and a big spring that's holding pressure on it. Goes inside of this basket. So when you push in the clutch, you're actually going to push in on these springs, and then what that's going to do is free them up. And when it frees it up, you're not transferring any energy to the rear wheel. You let go of the clutch, bam, they squeeze together. In the perfect scenario, you're off and running. But with that comes some issues. Now, the clutches themselves. Inside the clutches, you have these plates and you have these steel things right here, these fibers. And what happens is it starts to wear out over time like this. And fluid plays an important role. But Len, even more important, fluid plays a role in driver feel with that clutch. This is huge.
It is a big deal, and we've spent a ton of time testing on this. The rider input is big on a dirt bike. You really need to have the lever feel to be consistent, meaning I want the lever to be somewhat progressive, but not super grabby so the bike takes off from underneath you. So the way you can influence that, there's a couple different ways. Viscosity will play into that. The thicker the oil, the more progressive the clutch feels. The thinner the oil, the more grabby the clutch will get. It's frictional characteristics that are kind of depicted in this chart. This is a real complicated way of putting numbers to lever feel. And what they do is they classify it in different ways. So there's a JSOIL MA, MA1, MA2, and then MB being the slipperiest. Our dirt bike oil is an MA1. That's a perfect blend of additive and base oil to provide the rider with a consistent lever feel.
So what you're saying, if it's really thin, I may be able to slip the clutch a little bit. If it's thick, perhaps I could stall it.
That's correct.
That's cool. Now that also has to do a big job. We're talking about the transmission, we're talking about all the engine components and the wet clutch in one system. So make sure you go to their website at amsoil.com. Check out these products and so many more.
If you or someone you know should be our paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week, just drop us a note. We're at motorheadgarage.tv, and that is what California's Bob Osmond did, and he is a speed freak if ever there was one. Now, Bob's dad raced sprint cars all over the country, and as you can see, Bob was hooked from the start. Just like every other kid in Southern California in the late 70s, Osmond was an avid skateboarder. And when skateboarders started laying on their boards and racing down Signal Hill in LA County, street luge was born, and Bob was there. He got his speed fix dabbling in street luge and later in street stock cars around 1977. Then in the 80s, it was lay down enduro go-karts at over 100 miles an hour. Bob the Wizard Osmond finished 8th in the World Karting Association standings. And get this, Bob got back into street luge and he was a competitor in ESPN's X Games right from the start in the mid-90s. A bad luge accident ended his luge career, but he still craved speed and competition. And as he put it, old age means roll cage. And he got back into stock cars. And they say go big or go home, and let me tell you, Bob has gone big. He's won 3 Enduro Sport Track Championships at Irwindale, and he's been the NASCAR Western Region champ the past 2 years. And that, folks, is why they call him the Wizard. And that is why we call him the paintedautoparts.com Motorhead of the Week. Thank you for riding along with us today. We'll see you next time here on Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. So long.